Hi there, I'm Jeff Mumm. I've been a licensed plumber for over 35 years. 23 years ago, I got my master's license and decided to start my own business. Since then, I have assembled a team of some of the best plumbers in this country, and together we specialize on service and remodel work on homes and offices 1 to 100 years old, sometimes a little older. And for the first time ever, we're going to show you how we do it. So sit back, relax, and welcome to Jeff Mumm Plumbing. All right, here we go. On today's video, we're going to be replacing a part of a bathroom sink drain. This is on a very old house, almost 100 years old. And the sink drain, it's got a little bit of damage on it, and it is not sticking out of the wall far enough. When we go to make our final connection, installing the sink, it would be a problem. So we're going to rectify that now while we got the walls open. So what Mike here is doing is he is cutting out this section of sink drain. We actually have galvanized pipe, which he's cutting right now. Below that, there is a T fitting, which you can see kind of sticking out of the wall. That is made of brass. And then below that, the drain pipe is actually lead. That is an old lost art that plumbers 100 years ago, even 60, 70 years ago, were using to install. So what we will be doing is putting in a cast iron drain fitting with a small piece of cast iron pipe mixed in there. The reason we are doing that is because in our jurisdiction, our plumbing code, they will not allow us to scab a piece of plastic pipe and fitting in between here. It has to be cast iron, but if you're a homeowner and you're watching this and have to do something like this, you can probably go back with some PVC and not have too many issues, but we are licensed plumbers and can't do that. So if you notice here, this piece of pipe that he's cutting here, that's lead. That cuts so much easier than the galvanized pipe up above. It's just a soft, like I said, it's actually the plumbers back then made that fitting. They wiped lead, it was called.
This is what I'm using.
Okay, this here is a transition fitting or emission coupling, as plumbers call those. And that is going to take us from that 1.5 inch. That's a cast iron T fitting. That's replacing that brass fitting. So Mike is going to hook that cast iron fitting to that galvanized vent. They're actually two different sizes. They're technically 1.5 inches, but the outside diameters of them are different. So you have to use this transition coupling that actually is designed to go from cast iron to galvanized pipe, 1.5 inches to 1.5 inches. What Mike is doing here is he's measuring the piece of cast iron pipe that goes below that fitting and will tie into that piece of lead down there. Now you may be wondering why we're saving that lead. The reason is the basement or the ceiling below us is completely finished, and that lead pipe actually ties into the toilet, the drain, so it's a big deal to replace it, and the owner here did not want to do that, so we're trying to save them some money and do the best we can. All right, what he's doing here is he is taking some silicone and putting around that lead pipe. These transition couplings that we use, they're not actually designed to go to lead. Lead is a 70, 80, 100-year-old product. They just don't make fittings that are designed specifically for lead. So we're going to use a transition fitting. We do this a lot, but we put a little bit of silicone on there just to help seal it even a little better. Just kind of a little trick there. When you've done a lot of these like we have, you don't want leaks. These pipes are going to be inside the wall, so you want to do everything you can not have leaks. And so a little bit of silicone there helps prevent a leak. We'll do it. What he's got here then is he's got these rubber couplings, these mission bands. They're basically a stainless steel band, and underneath them is a rubber coupling. And the way you fit this piece of pipe in between his lead and his cast iron fitting, you can roll back the rubber couplings, have your bands on there, and then stick it in between. It takes a little bit to do it, but it's actually almost easier. If you did plastic here, you would almost have to still use these transition fittings to go from plastic to your galvanized vent and to your lead drain. So you actually kind of make it a little bit easier to fit a pipe and fitting because you can roll back the rubber couplings.
Beautiful.
That he's using there. So these old houses that we get into, you know, it's not everything's black and white. Sometimes you got to adapt, and you know, we specialize in these older homes. We're kind of known throughout our area to be the plumbers to call. When you need to plumb, call Jeff Mumm. We're known for these older homes, and so we deal with this old stuff. I mean, just that lathing that's on the wall, that's plaster. That's not drywall. That's a lost art. They just don't do that anymore. That would just be simple drywall, but back in the day, it's amazing the amount of time it took just to build a house, just to put the plumbing in, you know, the electrical. Heck, some of them old boys didn't even have cordless drills and sawzalls like we do. I don't know how they did it. But their arms were all huge. They were used to working with this heavy material, and so you'll notice that the coupling that Mike is working with now, it's hard to see, but you'll see it later. It's actually a little bit different than the other two mission bands. It's still a stainless steel band, still has a rubber gasket in the middle, but it's actually going from its cast iron T fitting to the piece of cast iron pipe he cut in, so you don't need a specialty band that adapts two different sizes, because the cast iron T and the 1.5-inch cast iron pipe are the same size. So here he is tightening everything down. This here's a torque wrench. It's actually designed to tighten those bands down. So what he's doing here is the end of that cast iron fitting that's going to be sticking out of the wall, that's actually threaded. That's 1.5-inch female threads. We will be using an 1.5-inch galvanized nipple to screw in there. Those nipples come in all different sizes, basically from 1.5 inches, 10, 12 inches if you need. So he's just kind of trying to get an idea of how far he wants that to stick out of the wall, so that later on we'll actually hook our P-trap up to this fitting, but it'll all be enclosed. So he's kind of tightening this in now. He's putting his Teflon tape on there. Remember, you want to hold that fitting at you and go clockwise when you're putting on Teflon tape. Now, some guys here would do just Teflon tape, or they would do just a pipe thread sealant. Either or would probably work. We like to use both. So we'll actually put some Teflon tape on first. That's actually what's going to seal. And then the pipe thread lubricant just kind of helps everything go in a little bit easier. So here he is, getting ready to tighten that fitting in there. And then again, the other part of this will stick out of the wall. We'll eventually put a cap on this drain for temporary. And we're going to be having another plumber coming in here as soon as Mike's done with this, and he's going to actually be working on the water pipe. Will be the rest of this video. If you see those shutoff valves sticking out, we're going to cut those off and cap them. That'll be our other plumber, Andy, who's going to take over the video from here.
Leave me plenty of room to make the connection outside of the wall, of the finished wall.
Alright, so today we're going to cut out these shutoff valves, extend and cap these copper lines. The reason we want to do that is because it's much easier for the drywall guy to go over a cap versus having to make a giant hole to go over the shutoff valve. So we're going to get busy here, remove this water line from the stud, or take it loose, and then we'll get to cutting the shutoff valves off. Take our sand cloth, make sure we clean about 3/4 of an inch of the copper. If not, we won't get our solder won't grab, we won't get a good seal. We want to do the same on our pieces that we're putting on. Then we take a steel brush, clean the insides of our copper fittings. Take our flux, brush it on the copper. Brush it inside the couplings. And then we brush it on to our extension pieces. And I like to solder them with the caps off, just in case there's any moisture in there. It'll allow the steam to escape. And this one here is right up against this stud. So I've got a piece of sheet metal that'll hold us out from the stud and also keep the stud from catching fire. Some of the steam coming out of here. You don't want to heat it up too much if you're flame starts going green, it means you're too hot and you want to turn it down. Take your rag, wipe off your solder so it doesn't look bad. You don't want to leave any sharp barbs hanging off of it or anything. And look at the other side. This one had a little bit of moisture in it, so it doesn't hurt to go in a few inches. As long as steam out of it so you're not fighting against it. And then you can go ahead and solder. Alright, and now it's, once we charge it, we're going to test it out, make sure we don't have any leaks. I'll make sure I get this guy strapped back up there. We don't want the pipe vibrating. Something else when you're capping, so we capped the water lines off, but we also want to make sure we cap the waistline off, because anytime you have these open, it's allowing sewer gas to enter the room. Not only that, but you get these gross little fruit flies that come up and they end up in your kitchen, and nobody wants that. So I always recommend using a screw cap on the new threads. You can use a rubber cap, but whatever you do, don't plug it with a plastic bag. I've seen that done. I've seen people put rags down into the toilet opening like this, and when they do that, it has a potential to get sucked down into the sewer, so you don't want to do that. So get yourself a good airtight plug to keep the sewer gas and the bugs out.
All right, well, thanks for watching. Remember, if you have any questions, please comment below, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.